Welcome to the Made in Mandan podcast. I'm your host, Ellen Huber, Business Development and Communications Director for the City of Mandan. This podcast is a place to hear in-depth interviews with real business owners and entrepreneurs in Mandan, North Dakota. Today's guest is Rob Knoll, co-owner of Bennigan's Irish Pub, one of our newest restaurants in Mandan, one of 7 to open just in the last handful of years. So, Rob, can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I like to say I made it big. I live about 6 blocks from where I grew up, but it is uphill, so I did move up in life. I was born and raised in Mandan. I went to college in Fargo and came back to Mandan and worked in the housing industry for many years, and then became an appraiser and a realtor, and just involved in the community. Wanted to see the community grow and address needs. I'm involved in some committees for the community, and one of the things that bothered me the most was there was no family sit-down restaurants in Mandan where I could have a beer and wings and with my friends, and I had to drive to Bismarck all the time for just so I about a year ago we opened Bennigan's. It'll be a year in late August, and I never had much experience in the food industry, but it's been going good.
Is there anything that's surprised you about being in the restaurant business, and any advice that you'd have for others about starting their own business?
Advice I have is work with the city and the other organizations out there like Small Business Development Center, Lewis and Clark, and those kind of agencies, and your bank, and be prepared. And the Small Business Development Center was extremely helpful, helping us with our business plan and the pro forma and things like that. So I would say, working with them was definitely worth our time and effort.
You mentioned the Lewis and Clark Development Group. What role did they play in helping you get the restaurant started?
They're an SBA lender, and we were able to work with them on that, and then they did some gap financing with us through the city's and state PACE buy-down program. And it really is what, there's risk, obviously, a lot of risk in restaurants. The income versus expenses, that's a very, very small margin, and you can mess up very easily. And so there's risk with that, and the buy-down is really what took us over the top to say, yes, let's do this, because it helped us, reduce our costs where we thought we had a cushion where we could to make it happen, make it work.
Sure. And for listeners that might not be familiar, Rob mentioned the Bank of North Dakota's PACE and FlexPACE interest buy-down program, and that's a program that helps businesses reduce their financing costs in those early startup years, and it can take interest rates down to as little as 1% for as long as that buy-down can last, in accordance with the principal and the interest rate being charged by the lead lender. So I'm glad you were able to take advantage of that program. You also mentioned that you had been involved with the City of Mandan in some programs. I know that one of those is the Restaurant Rewards Program. Can you explain what that's meant for you at the startup of Bennigan's?
Again, startup is risky. It's the hardest time to get going, and where you're not making a lot of money the first few years or making any money the first few years. So that it's for every million in sales, we get a $10,000 rebate on our taxes, and it's helped us put in some capital improvements this year on our patio and other equipment. So that's really been helpful to us.
Great, right. So again, for listeners, what that amounts to is a rebate of a 1% local sales tax. So the business still remits the sales tax, and then at the end of the year, the city receives information on the annual sales of the restaurant, and then is able to kick back a portion of that tax that is paid. And so this was a program that was in place from 2016 through March of 2019. We've saw 7 restaurants open so far, and 3 more set to open in 2019, with Bennigan's being one of those. So you chose to open off of the Interstate 94 corridor, off of the exit 152 or the Sunset Interchange, as it's known. What are you seeing going on in that business area, and why did you pick that location?
One of Bennigan's requirements that it wasn't a hard and fast rule, but it was really, really encouraged that they wanted us to be off the interstate. It was helpful that we were next to, the hotels in that area, We were by the middle school, we're by the Starion Sports Complex, so we thought that was Mandan's going to grow north, there's going to be more growth up in that area, and we thought that was a perfect site for Bennigan's. You see some more activity right now with the little strip mall, and so we thought it was a perfect site for us, and we can take some synergies with the hotel that we can work with each other on, and so we felt it was the right site for that reason.
Rob, where do you see Mandan's future as a whole?
Oh, I think we have a bright future, and not that it looked horrible or anything 10 years ago, but it needed some new businesses, it needed some vitality, and Main Street looks so different. It looks so good right now, and then you go up north and you see the developments up there due to, the sports complex or whatever it is up there, the middle school. What it has for it is, that little small town feel in a way, but yet it has the amenities of a big town. Excited, Runnings is coming down on Main Street. That'll bring some more activity. So I think it has a bright future. Excited.
I am too. Certainly a lot of development interest in that area north and west of the community, and we're particularly staying in tune with what the Mandan School Board is determining in terms of the needs for future high school accommodations too. So what do you see, how do you compare doing business in Mandan to other options? Are there advantages of doing business in Mandan?
Well, yes, and I'm not saying this because you're across the table from me, but you were extremely helpful. The city was extremely helpful in our development. I don't see that you get that in other communities. The hiring of a business development director, and that has really driven a lot of this the growth in the community over the past several years, and you don't see that detail from other communities, putting on those education seminars and, things like that. You don't see that in other communities, and I think that's why we have a better programs here in that sense.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Made in Mandan podcast. If you'd like to hear more, subscribe for new episodes and connect with us online at City of Mandan and Made in Mandan on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. And for more information on starting your business in Mandan, visit cityofmandan.com/business. I'll catch you next time as we talk with another entrepreneur from where the West begins on the Made in Mandan podcast.